You believe you are who you are, but I ask you, with the necessary cruelty, who taught you to be this way? Perhaps you repeat that you are a good person, hard-working, intelligent, or even sensitive. But all of that, my dear spirit, may just be moral makeup covering a tamed soul, because the real you, the one that pulses in your gut, that bites, dances, screams, and creates has been buried under layers of expectations, fear, guilt, and praise disguised as chains. If you clicked on this video, it's because something inside you is screaming for air. Maybe you're suffocating inside yourself. You feel exhausted from playing the role you've been given, like an actor who has forgotten he's on stage. You follow the gestures, repeat the lines, even cry when you're expected to cry. But deep down, something is wrong. It's not just sadness, it's existential falsehood. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a guru. I'm not a priest. I am Nietzsche, and like a psychologist with a hammer, I am here to destroy your illusions with well-aimed blows, because only when the idol falls can the spirit rise. And the greatest idol of all is the I that you think you are. But don't blame yourself. You were raised to obey. From an early age, you were taught to ignore your most authentic impulses, to control your anger, hide your desires, stifle your ambition. Be nice, don't speak loudly, don't ask too many questions, be grateful for what you have. The pedagogy of the herd begins in the cradle. Every spontaneous gesture is corrected until instinct turns to shame. And you learn, being accepted is more important than being true. This I that you present is a construct, a mosaic of traumas, social rewards, and internalized fears. It is not you, it is your mask. In the language that others understand, they call this a persona. I call it aesthetic cowardice. You will say to me, but if I take off this mask, what is left? This is the question everyone fears, and that's why they keep acting, posting, smiling, and obeying. Because deep down, they're afraid of the void. But this void you feel when you abandon your false selves is not absence, it's space. Space for something new to be born, so that a creator self, not a reproducer self, can emerge. Now understand, the pain you feel, that feeling of not belonging, of being disconnected, is not your fault. It is proof of sanity. Because the truly insane are those who adapt perfectly to a sick world. If you feel like you don't fit in, congratulations, you still have something wild in you. And the wild is the only part of you that can be free. But be careful. The world hates authenticity. The real scares because it cannot be controlled. The real does not apologize. The real is not useful. The real breaks the rules because it is a force, not a function. You were taught to be functional, useful to others, pleasant to friends, efficient for the market. But who taught you to be true to yourself? No one. Because society does not reward authenticity, it rewards obedience. So when you start to break free, you will seem selfish, strange, arrogant. People will tell you that you have changed, that you are different. And they will be right, because you are leaving the cage. That biggest lie of modernity is that you need to find yourself, as if you are a lost object. No, you don't find yourself, you create yourself, and that hurts. It hurts because creating yourself requires killing the old you. It requires disappointing others. It requires feeling alone. But I much prefer honest solitude to the company of those who have never known themselves. Know thyself, said the ancients. But that advice has become an Instagram phrase. True self-knowledge is not looking inside and seeing a beautiful reflection. It is looking inside and seeing a tamed monster, a chained being who has wanted, for years, to break everything and dance on the rubble. Do you want to know who you are? Look at what makes you angry, what you envy, what you hide even from yourself. Therein lies your truth, your disguised desire for power. Because everything we repress returns in the form of symptoms, failures, procrastination, empty relationships. The real self does not disappear. It silently sabotages the charade. It destroys the success of the mask. And that's why you repeat patterns. That's why you feel like something is always missing. Because you are trying to live a destiny that is not yours. But deep down, you know there is something more. Something you haven't experienced yet. A force that cannot be contained in your parents' words, society's expectations, or coaches' formulas. It is the Dionysian in you, the creative instinct, the desire to live intensely, to be whole. But for this whole being to be born, the old must die. Yes, finding your true self requires a kind of death. the death of comfort, the death of reputation, the death of certainties, because only those who die to what they are can become what they are meant to be. This video is not inspiration, it is a funeral, the funeral of your old self, and also a baptism of the creator you are destined to be. If you had the courage to get this far, write in the comments, "I kill what kills me." This will be your first act of rebellion. Have you ever wondered why you act the way you do? Why do you repeat certain words? Why do you seek approval? Why do you fear judgment? Why do you smile when you want to scream? I will tell you, because you are possessed. Possessed by a morality you did not choose, by a culture you do not question, by a history you do not know. You are the battlefield of dead ideas, and you live like a walking tomb. But there is a way, the genealogical method. Yes, I have created a weapon for strong spirits, a method that digs deep, that investigates not what you think, but where your thoughts come from, because your morality, the one that tells you to be good, peaceful, modest, and altruistic, it has an origin, and the origin of this morality is resentment. The morality of the herd was born of the weak, of the powerless, of those who, unable to assert their strength, reversed values. They turned their weakness into virtue. What was strength became sin. What was power became arrogance. What was impulse became temptation. And you, yes, you, were trained like a dog, a good boy, always controlling yourself, always saying sorry, always waiting to be accepted. You became obedient, and sick, yes, sick, because every denial of the vital instinct rots the soul. Christian morality and all its modern derivatives are nothing more than instruments of spiritual castration. They don't want you to flourish. They want you to sacrifice yourself, that you nullify yourself, that you always forgive, always love, always smile even when hurt. Not because it's noble, but because it keeps you harmless. You believe you are good because you control yourself. But goodness born of impotence is not virtue, it is resentment in disguise. You repress your desires, your impulses, your anger, your ambition, and then you say you are humble, mature, spiritual. That's a lie. That's weakness dressed up. And embellished weakness is even more dangerous than brutality, because it deceives even the spirit that carries it. Do you know why you suffer so much? Because you are divided. One you cries out for freedom, for intensity, for truth. But the other, the domesticated one, responds with guilt. And guilt is the invisible shackle that paralyzes men. You don't live, you watch yourself. You don't feel, you judge your own feelings. This division, this existential guilt is not natural. It was taught to you, driven into you like a nail into flesh. Through religion, school, family, culture. The name of that nail is bad conscience. And bad conscience is the poison that turns animals into slaves. Instinct turns against itself. Life hates itself. And the result is you. You say you want to find yourself, but you still cling to concepts created by priests, moralists, and fearful democrats. You seek authenticity within your prison. Don't you see the absurdity? Freedom is not a safe space. It is a battlefield. And the true self is not a comfortable place where you go to rest. It is a furnace where you will burn. But before you burn, you need to see. And seeing requires a brutal question. Who benefits from your suffering? Because yes, my friends, someone profits from your weakness. A world of good manners that needs lambs to maintain order. A market that feeds on your low self-esteem. A religion that only lives if you feel guilty. A politics that thrives on your powerlessness. You are not just lost. You are being used. And the more you try to fit in, the further you stray from yourself. You become a simulacrum of a human being. Someone who smiles at meetings, applauds at church, behaves at family dinners, and then cries in secret in the bathroom. Because you can't take it anymore. But you don't know why. I'll tell you why. You're living by someone else's values. And those values are contrary to life. You've been trained to hate yourself, to distrust your body, to censor your desires, to fear your own strength. The morality of the herd is a morality of mediocrity. It wants to level everyone down, to make everyone the same, not through greatness, but through amputation. Don't want too much. Don't go too far. Don't be too intense, because intensity is uncomfortable. Strength is threatening. Authenticity reveals the lies of others. And that's why the world prefers the lukewarm, the conformists, the nice guys. But you weren't born to be lukewarm. You were born to be a volcano. No more mutilating yourself to fit into boxes. No more apologizing for existing. No more carrying crosses that aren't yours. Life is too short to live as an echo. You must become a source. But beware, this path is dangerous, because the world will resist. It will laugh at you. It will accuse you. It will abandon you. But all of this is a good sign, because this is how the old dies. And when everything falls apart, that's when the real you can be born. If you're still here, write in the comments, I no longer belong to the lie. This will be your second ritual of rebirth. Yes, you can continue living as you have been. Life does not force anyone to be great. Life only invites. It whispers, then shouts, and if you still don't move, it leaves you there. Among the mediocre, the normal, those satisfied with little. Nothing will stop you from staying where you are. You can grow old in that position. You can die in it, and no one will judge you for it. But I will judge you, because I know there is more inside you. There is strength. There is fury. There is a creator, and that creator is numb, drugged, stifled under layers and layers of obedience, fear, and herd. Morality, you can stay in your safe job, in your predictable relationship, in your functional social role. You can keep smiling in photos, politely responding to messages, applauding other people's ideas. You can keep pleasing, justifying, explaining yourself, and the world, of course, will continue to praise you, because the world loves the tamed. But what it doesn't love, it consumes, and you feel it. Even if you can't name it, you feel like you're being devoured from within, like a body whose bones support something that no longer has any flesh of its own. The smile weighs heavy, the routine sickens you, the mask itches, you feel strange, out of place, and you try to fix yourself. You read books, you meditate, you go to therapy, you buy self-help courses, but deep down, you know, it's not another technique that will save you. It's destruction. You're not broken. You're put together wrong, and to rebuild yourself, you'll have to take yourself apart. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will be lonely. Yes, it will seem crazy. But there is no other way. Authenticity isn't found in workshops. It's earned through struggle. You think you're sad, but you're not. You've been betrayed. Betrayed by yourself. You abandoned who you could be to be what others needed you to be. You chose to be kind instead of being true, and now you're paying the price. Look at your life with surgical honesty. How many of your decisions were really yours? How many were born of a pulsing, wild, non-negotiable desire? And how many were made to not upset, not disappoint, not cause trouble? You weren't raised to be authentic. You were raised to be functional, to be predictable, to be useful. And your entire personality is an adaptation to your environment, an adjustment to expectations, a way to survive. But those who live only to survive have never truly lived. What you call I is an instruction manual written by others. It is a collage of ready-made phrases, other people's fears, unresolved traumas. It is not your essence, it is your disguise. And I'm not here to improve you. I'm here to expose you. You want to know who you are? Then stop looking outside yourself. Close your eyes, be silent, and listen to the muffled cry inside your chest. It doesn't use words. It's not polished. It doesn't know how to smile, but it's real. More real than any title, any job, any social media identity. It's you. The you you abandoned. The you you hid to be accepted. The you you denied to be loved. And that's why you suffer. It's not because you have too many problems. It's because you lack truth. The deepest suffering comes from self-betrayal. From the silent shame of not living as you want to, from not saying what you think, from not loving as you wish, from not shining as you could, but you still wait, for a sign, for the right moment, for permission, for justification, for something to make the leap safer. And it will never come, because the soul does not apologize. It demands. Self-improvement begins when you refuse to wait any longer, when you get up from the comfortable chair of normality and say, no, I'm not going to die like this. This is not self-help. This is spiritual self-defense. And at that moment, everything will fall apart. Because the world you built was built on concessions. And when you stop compromising, the structures crumble. You will lose relationships. You will be called selfish, unstable, radical. And that's great. Because those adjectives are medals for those who dare to live. You think you need to be understood. You don't. You need to be true to yourself. And those who understand you will come. Those who don't will make room. That you fear loneliness. but you are already alone, because no one knows who you are, not even you. The pain you feel is not punishment. It is a call. It is your spirit trying to emerge, and it can only emerge when you stop hiding behind what you have learned to be. You know that tiredness you feel when you wake up. It's not physical, it's existential. It's your body saying, I don't want to carry this lie anymore. And every time you silence your anger, your libido, your impulse to create, to confront, to speak, to live, you feed that tiredness, and you kill your spirit. No, you weren't born to please. You were born to set the world on fire. The free spirit does not seek comfort, it seeks creation. It does not adapt, it transforms. And to do that, it needs to do what no one else has the courage to do. Be honest to the core. Look around you. See how everything is fake, how relationships are negotiations, how speeches are repetitions, how values are inherited, how truths are clichés, and then understand, if you don't break free, you'll be just another one who lives well and dies empty. But if you break a waif, you burn the old version of yourself. If you take the risk of freedom, then you will discover something that the world does not offer. Peace of mind, not the peace of temples, not the peace of techniques, but the wild peace of those who are whole, of those who look you in the eye, of those who breathe deeply without shame, of those who know they may die tomorrow, but today they lived as they wanted, and that number one can take away from you. So go. Tear up the papers, undo the characters, dismantle the narrative, bury the old you, with honor, with gratitude even, if you want. But bury it, and from the grave of that lie, let the Creator be born. If you're still here, write in the comments, I am the bonfire where my lie burns, and don't stop. Keep burning. You were taught to be moral, to respect the rules, to be kind, fair, loyal, spiritual, civilized. But you were never told that the morality you wear with such pride may be exactly what keeps you small. Morality is a double-edged sword. When it comes from your own spirit, it is strength. But when it comes from the fear of being punished or excluded, it is an invisible chain. And you, traveler, are full of these chains, only you call them virtues. Let's expose this now, and not gently. You say you are patient, but maybe you are just passive. You say you are humble, but maybe you are just afraid to show yourself. You say you forgive easily, but maybe it's because you fear confrontation. You say you love peace, but maybe it's because you don't know how to deal with your own anger. What you call kindness may be cowardice in disguise. What you call compassion may be fear of being hated. What you call spirituality may be escapism, and it's not your fault. This morality was instilled in you like a virus, an entire value system created to tame human beings, to turn them from wolves into lambs, from hunters into employees, from dancers into spectators. They told you, control yourself, don't want too much, don't trust your instincts, trust our dogmas, and you obeyed, because you were a child, because you wanted love, because you needed to survive. But now you're an adult, and remaining obedient is an act of cowardice. The morality of the herd was forged by those who could not bear the power of instincts. That is why they reversed values. They called weakness a virtue, they called submission wisdom, they called renunciation enlightenment, and you, without realizing it, took on this lie as your identity. But I ask you, where is your strength? Where is your hunger for life? Where is the pleasure of existing at your most intense? You think you control yourself through maturity, but I tell you, perhaps you repress yourself out of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not being accepted by a world that loves the weak because it can use them. The world is not afraid of the good, it is afraid of the free. That is why everything is done to prevent you from becoming a free spirit. Education, religion, the market, the media, even psychology, everything conspires to keep you adjusted, functional, balanced. But balance is the prison of instincts, and a caged instinct. But beware, this path is dangerous, because the world will resist. It will laugh at you, it will accuse you, it will abandon you. But all of this is a good sign, because this is how the old dies. And when everything falls apart, that's when the real you can be born. If you're still here, write in the comments, I no longer belong to the lie. This will be your second ritual of rebirth. Yes, you can continue living as you have been. Life does not force anyone to be great. Life only invites. It whispers, then shouts, and if you still don't move, it leaves you there. among the mediocre, the normal, those satisfied with little. Nothing will stop you from staying where you are. You can grow old in that position. You can die in it, and no one will judge you for it. But I will judge you, because I know there is more inside you. There is strength, but you have learned to feel guilty for wanting, for desiring, for saying no, for wanting to be great, for wanting more, for wanting everything. They taught you to fear your own strength, and you believed them. But now, it's time to disbelieve. The true self is not an altar of virtues. It is a field of forces in conflict. It is a dance between light and darkness. It is creative chaos. And what it wants is not to be good. It wants to be whole. And being whole requires saying yes to the shadow, yes to rage, yes to desire, yes to contradiction, yes to mistakes, yes to risk. The life worth living isn't the right life. It's the intense life. And living intensely is dangerous. You may lose people. You may be called crazy, insensitive, selfish, but all that is just the language of those who live half-lives trying to convince you to do the same. Don't accept it. You didn't come into this world to be an example of virtue. You came to be an expression of power, and your power begins when you stop trying to mold yourself, when you break away from the idea that you need to please, explain, or justify yourself, when you simply ... and that's terrifying, because no one can live that for you. There are no more mentors. There are no manuals. There are no trails. There is only your abyss and the leap. And if you jump, you'll see that the ground was never necessary, because you were born to fly. If you're still here, free spirit, write in the comments. I will spit on the morality that tried to tame me. This is your fourth ritual, the most subversive. You say you want to find who you are, but the real you doesn't exist yet, because the real you is not something to be found, it is something to be created. And few understand this. Most want formulas. They want a ready-made identity. They want an I defined by signs, archetypes, and personality traits. They want to fit into their supposed process of liberation. But to liberate yourself is to break free from all schemes, including those that seem spiritual or revolutionary. Real freedom begins when you understand that everything that has been said about who you should be must be burned. Yes, burned. Even the compliments, even the "you're so cool, so wise, so responsible," because these compliments are golden shackles. They keep you tied to an image that pleases others, but does not feed your soul. You are more than what others appreciate in you. You are also what they fear, and that is what you need to reclaim. Reclaim your dangerous side, your unstable side, your wild side, the side of you that doesn't want to serve, doesn't want to heal, doesn't want to wait, the side that doesn't bow to anything, not ideals, not gurus, not who you were yesterday. That is the Creator. The Creator doesn't ask, "Who am I?" He asks, "What can I still become?" He doesn't look for roots, he plants new ones. He doesn't seek identity, he shapes destiny. He doesn't want to be understood, he wants to be fruitful. And that takes courage. Because to create yourself, you will have to contradict everything you have learned. You will have to betray the system that shaped you. You will have to laugh at pain, dance with doubt, embrace chaos as raw material. Creation is orderly chaos, and chaos is the only truth that doesn't lie. You were born to be more than useful, more than loved, more than accepted. You were born to become a force of nature. But to do that, you need to stop seeing yourself as a project and start seeing yourself as an artist. You are the work, and the artist, and no true artist follows formulas. Look at the greats. Those who broke paradigms, who sparked revolutions, who changed the course of history. They didn't ask, "Is this right?" They asked, "Is this mine?" They didn't adapt to the tastes of the time. They spat on the times and created a new aesthetic. They didn't want to be examples of anything. They were explosions of everything. And you, do you still want to please everyone? Do you want to be understood? Do you want your transformation to be comfortable for those around you? Then you are not ready to create. Creation requires radical detachment, including from your old biography, including from your painful past, including from the stories you repeat to protect yourself. Yes, you suffered. Yes, you were hurt. But now, that doesn't matter anymore. Are you going to remain stuck in the victim narrative? Are you going to continue explaining your fear, justifying your stagnation, citing trauma as an excuse for not exploding toward the new? Or are you finally going to say, "Enough. I am not my past. I am my possibility. This is the moment when the creator emerges, when the survivor dies. The survivor only wants security. The creator wants expression. The survivor negotiates with reality. The creator reinvents it. The survivor clings to what they have. The creator risks everything for what they can be. And that's why the world fears creators, because they don't need permission. They don't ask for blessings. They don't obey logic. They are their own gods, their own laws. Are you ready for that? Ready to belong to no one? Ready to endure the emptiness of the unknown? Ready to love without needing to be loved in return? Ready to assert your own vision, even if the whole world says it's absurd? If not, that's okay. Go back to the cave. Go back to the manuals. Go back to the labels, the rituals, the ready-made values. But don't lie to yourself that you're changing, because change requires madness, and madness is the price of creative freedom. But if you are ready, then know this: you will be feared, because the creator always is. He disturbs the order. He reveals the lie. He shows that there was a choice, and nothing is more unbearable to the complacent than knowing they could have chosen. You will be accused of arrogance, of coldness, of selfishness. But these accusations are blessings. They mean you are becoming indomitable. So go. Create yourself. Reinvent yourself. Draw a new ethic, a new aesthetic, a new way of being in the world. And may every gesture, every word, every silence, every step be an affirmation of power. Don't live to be remembered. Live to be felt. And if someone asks, "Who are you?" answer with your life, not with words, because the real you cannot be explained. It imposes itself. If you are still breathing after that, write in the comments, "I am the creator of my truth." This is your fifth ritual, the most powerful one. Did you think it was enough to break free? That it was enough to break with expectations, disobey, assert yourself? No, that was just baptism by fire. The real task begins now, sustaining what you have become in the face of a world that will try to pull you back into the swamp of normality. Because the world does not forgive those who dare. The world tolerates the rebel while he is screaming against the bars, but it hates him when he flies. You need to understand this. No one wants to see you free, because your freedom exposes the imprisonment of others. And that ... hurts. It hurts more than any insult, more than any offense. Your mere presence will become unbearable to those who live half a life. You will notice this. They will start looking at you with suspicion. They will say that you are different, that you are distant, that you are cold, selfish, strange. But what they really mean is, you stopped pretending, and that forces me to see that I am still pretending. And you need to be ready for that. Ready to be the odd one out, the misfit, the misunderstood. Because creators live at a different pace. They don't react, they create. They don't defend themselves, they assert themselves. They don't explain, they embody. And that requires a new ethic. The ethic of the strong spirit. The ethic that does not seek approval, but fidelity to oneself. The ethic that does not demand purity, but power. That does not seek acceptance, but direction. You must choose now to live a pleasant life, or a great life, because you cannot have both. Greatness requires sacrifice, not the foolish sacrifice of religion, which requires you to deny life in order to be accepted in the afterlife, but the tragic sacrifice, giving up comfort, your comfort zone, inherited morals, to live an existence with weight, with intensity, with meaning. This is true spirituality, not running away from the world, but diving into it with such force that your existence becomes a work of art. The Bermensch is not a perfect being, he is a complete being. He makes mistakes, loves, hurts, contradicts himself, explodes, rebuilds himself, but all of this, with totality. He does not live from the outside in. He does not act out of fear. He does not wait for permission. He does not adapt. He creates values and walks with his chest open, even in the... But you have learned to feel guilty for wanting, for desiring, for saying no, for wanting to be great, for wanting more, for wanting everything. They taught you to fear your own strength, and you believed them. But now, it's time to disbelieve. The true self is not an altar of virtues. It is a field of forces in conflict. It is a dance between light and darkness. It is creative chaos. And what it wants is not to be good. It wants to be whole. And being whole requires saying yes to the shadow, yes to rage, yes to desire, yes to contradiction, yes to mistakes, yes to risk. The life worth living isn't the right life. It's the intense life, and living intensely is dangerous. You may lose people. You may be called crazy, insensitive, selfish, but all that is just the language of those who live half-lives trying to convince you to do the same. Don't accept it. You didn't come into this world to be an example of virtue. You came to be an expression. That is the final seal. To love destiny. To love what came before. To love even the pain, because it was the test that brought you here. You no longer need to run away. Not from the past. Not from judgment. Not from your own shadow. Everything you have been, everything you have lived, it was the furnace that forged the being that now emerges. And this being belongs to no one. It is its own world. It is new value. It is will incarnate. You, traveler, are ready to live without a map, to walk where there is no trail, to love without guarantees, to create without an audience, to die, if necessary, but never as a domesticated being. Because now you know, the true self is not a destination. It is an eternal exercise. Every day you will have to choose yourself. Every day you will have to kill a little bit of cowardice. Every day you will have to assert yourself, not to others, but to yourself. And there will be days of failure. There will be days of doubt. There will be days of exhaustion. But on those days you will remember, you have been to hell. You have stared into the abyss. You've burned the lie. And you came out of it, on fire. You are fire, and no one can extinguish what has been set ablaze from within. If you are still breathing after this journey, then write in the comments, this is your sixth and final ritual, the ritual of eternity.